I'm horrible. No. No, I am good. Oh, that's it's kind of one of those things that I was expecting the hammer to drop. And then last night, in the middle of the night, it kind of dropped on me. And you can explain what I'm talking about here. Now, I'm at home. I'm minding my own business. I'm dreaming of Michigan championships. I'm happy. I wake up this morning and I'm a message from Faith. Harbaugh accepts the position, and I'm like, no. uh I think everyone knew this was coming. You were kind of holding out hope. What started to kind of get me a little hope or give me a little hope was the fact that he hadn't accepted the job yet. And remember, yesterday I said, if something's going to be announced between now and Monday. And then I saw that Harbaugh had a meeting set with the Atlanta Falcons. And I'm like, wait a minute, a second interview with the Falcons. I thought the Chargers deal would be a done deal. And then, I go to bed and then I get the message from Faith and then everything else. And I know I jumped ahead of you, Faith. I'm going to let you do your part and then we'll dive into some more of what I have to say.
Okay, so if you haven't caught on by now, Jim Harbaugh, who was the head coach for Michigan, has accepted the head coach job with the LA Chargers. That was announced yesterday. Um, Harbaugh is filling the vacancy that was created last month of the sacking of Brandon Staley in the wake of the Chargers' 63-point defeat to Las Vegas. I think Harbaugh actually canceled the second interview with the Atlanta Falcons, and then that is when he made the decision to accept the Chargers job.
I think that Atlanta had plans on not letting him leave the building. I think if he'd have went for the second interview, I think Atlanta was going to give him everything he wanted to come there. And that really, I personally thought that the Chargers it would have been foolish for them to let Harbaugh go on that second interview with Atlanta. Atlanta is trying to overhaul their team, their culture, and a guy that is pretty much has been I mean, Mr. Consistent. Wherever he goes, he turns things around. I thought there's just no way that the Chargers would let that happen. I thought I was surprised that Michigan had this, had let him go on that second interview. I thought I knew that there was some holdup between the contract. Michigan was offering to make him the highest paid coach in college football. The initial offer was a little bit under Saban, and then it kind of came out there was rumors that they were going to give him more money than what Saban was getting. And the big hangup initially was he wanted to make it so that if any in fact fractions came down, that the school the university couldn't fire him without it being a council, a group of three. It wouldn't be a chancellor or an athletic director that could fire him. It needed to be a council. So I knew that was a sticking point. As a Michigan fan, I was thinking, give it to him. You have a guy that's turned your team around. Also, when you look at the effect that this is going to affect Michigan as far as how it's going to change them. With the rules of the transfer portal, with the fact that Michigan has 14 to 18 players that are expected to be drafted this year. So that means there's a lot of star players, NFL caliber players that will not be on the team this year. And now with Harbaugh going and leaving Michigan, the way the transfer portal rules work, everyone on Michigan can now be entered into the transfer portal, and every school in the country can start contacting Michigan players. So there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of players that have committed to Michigan that's going to decommit, and a lot of guys that were planning on being at Michigan are going to leave. This is going to hurt Michigan as a whole. Thinking about this as a Michigan fan, the same thing that's happened to Alabama is now going to have to happen in Michigan. It's going to be very interesting, but as far as Michigan coming back and repeating, this decision, I think, really makes it that's not going to happen. And way I'm going to talk about this a little bit is I'm talking about a little bit on Michigan, and then I'll go back and talk about what this means to the Chargers. As far as Michigan goes, Michigan needs to move fast. You have Jim Harbaugh, who has turned Michigan around and got a national championship. The big legend is Bo Schembechler, but people don't realize Bo Schembechler never brought a championship to Michigan. Lloyd Carr, and then now Jim Harbaugh has brought a championship to Michigan. And so I think it opens up that Sharon Moore, who had coached 4 games this season when Harbaugh was suspended, I think either today, and it should be today, but by tomorrow, the latest, they're going to announce that Sharon Moore is the new coach for Michigan, because if you do not move fast, there is going to be a mass exodus of Michigan players. What do you think about that so far?
Do you think Harbaugh decided to not stay with Michigan because of the suspensions that he had during this past season?
Well, that is a question, and that's a fantastic question. That's a question that I have had. There's a few things on why, just like something that Nick Saban had said before he retired, that with name, image, and likeness, is Harbaugh and Saban are both pro the players getting paid. That has never been an issue with either one of them. What has been the big issue is kind of like the predatory effects of how some of these agents and these groups are getting together and influencing players. Then to mention that the transfer portal. Now, it used to be that a coach could go in, you had one recruiting deadline, and you could recruit your players by the such and such date. You know who your players are. Now there's 2 recruiting deadlines for players. So a player can commit to Michigan or Alabama or Georgia, change their mind, and there's still time because there's another date that they can do. So you got to recruit your players and keep recruiting them even after they've committed to Michigan. Then this whole transfer portal where you are recruiting your players 12 months out of the year. You have to make sure your players are happy because, if they're not happy, they go into the transfer portal, they leave. If the kid's not going to be a starter, then after the spring game, they can go into the transfer portal and leave. And so college football, with the way the calendar is set up, has become a much harder game, where the NFL has become an easier game. There's more money. You're dealing with adults who are only going to get paid. They have an agent. Everything is set up the way it's supposed to be. It has a great calendar. It's an easier. The college football has become a thankless job for a top flight coach. And so I could totally see why Saban retired. And Harbaugh has gone to the NFL. Mark my words, these are just the first 2 dominoes. These are big, giant dominoes. But I think you're going to see a lot more older coaches who are going to retire. And I think there's a lot more guys that if the NFL comes calling, it's going to be a no-brainer. I'm out of here. And so I think that's what's going to kind of happen. And I know we're kind of running a little long with this because I haven't even touched on the Chargers and the effect of the Chargers. How about this? We're about to go on break. I know this is your job, but I'm just proposing this to you, that when we come back, I'll touch on the effect of, a little bit on how this is going to affect the Chargers and how Harbaugh fits in with the Chargers. And then we'll touch and then go into our second segment, if that's okay with you.
Sure. Works for me. All righty, guys.
We're doing this on the fly. Sorry about that, everyone.
It's because everything changed last night in the middle of the night.
We're supposed to be a well-oiled machine.
We are. Okay, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll discuss Jim Harbaugh a little bit more.
In the world blind, please Lord give me a sign, a sign. I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some loose shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please Lord give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. First, we're going to come back to what we were discussing earlier, which is still Jim Harbaugh and his job acceptance of the head coach job with the Chargers. But before we dive into that, I just want to remind you guys that if you're watching the show and you're enjoying it and you want to send your comments in and make sure they get read on the show, you can do that at streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. The tips really help us out, and you can make sure that your comment is heard. Alrighty.
All right.
Well, let's just dive right back into this.
Okay, so the first segment, we were talking about the fact that Jim Harbaugh had accepted the job with leaving Michigan to go to the Los Angeles Chargers. And now we're going to talk about a little bit on how this is a no-brainer for the Chargers. The Chargers, since being in San Diego and coming to Los Angeles, has been a second-class citizen in the city of Los Angeles. I'm not even going to say second class. I mean fifth class. It's always it's a Laker town. It's a Dodgers town. It's a USC Trojans town. It's not a Clipper or Charger town. The Rams. There's the beaches. There's so much to do in Los Angeles that the Chargers are like the seventh, eighth, ninth option. And so what this decision to get Jim Harbaugh has done is created buzz. Instantly, a stadium that has been, when the Chargers play a game, they're the only team in the NFL that plays an away game every single week. And the reason why I say this, Faith, is the fact that a lot of times when the Charger plays, there's more a home game. There's more of the opponent's fans in the stadium than there are actual Charger fans. Now, when you go to a Chargers game, just the signing, you're going to see this over the next few weeks. There's going to be thousands of season tickets that are going to be sold at SoFi Stadium. Maybe in my opinion, it's either SoFi or Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium are the best two stadiums. And I could see a lot of tickets being sold. Now, diving into, so that's the immediate impact of what bringing Harbaugh to Los Angeles is going to do. Your ticket sales are going to go through the roof. Your season tickets are going to go through the roof. Your luxury boxes are going to be sold out. But now, why did Harbaugh take the Los Angeles Chargers job over the Atlanta Falcons job? The Chargers were smart to not even let him go to Atlanta. Arthur Blank, great owner, would have given him the freedom to pretty much run the team the way he wanted to. The Chargers organization in the past have been known as being a little cheap. Not the case. This is the new Los Angeles Chargers. Harbaugh made a great decision. If you're a coach, you need a few things. You have to have a starting quarterback. You have to have a franchise quarterback. Well, Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Young, solid, up-and-coming quarterback. Harbaugh was a quarterback in the NFL, and working with Herbert is going to just make Herbert a much better quarterback, which he's already one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. The next thing, you need an edge rusher. On defense, you have to have an edge rusher. Well, you have Joey Bosa, that is one of the top 2 or 3 edge rushers in the NFL. You have Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack is, an outright stud. Then you look at weapons. You have built in. You have Keenan Allen. You have Mike Williams. You have Austin Eckler in the backfield. So you have receivers, you have a running game. And then if you're going to try to protect your quarterback, you got to have that left tackle, Rashawn Slater, which is a top 10 left tackle in the NFL. So when you start looking at this team and you say, listen, the grocery cart is full as far as what a coach needs. And one of the things that you're going to see that I think there's going to be some tough decisions that Jim Harbaugh is going to have to make. And that is the one issue that makes the Chargers job maybe not so attractive is the fact that they're going to have salary cap issues. I think they're about $40 to $50 million over the cap. So that means they're going to have to make some tough decisions. Do they keep some of these guys that I just mentioned? Khalil Mack is one of those guys. do you kind of part ways with Khalil Mack, who is quite an expensive guy to have when you're trying to build a brand new team that's cap strapped? They have draft picks. Harbaugh, one of the things by bringing in Jim Harbaugh is you have a coach who has been recruiting for the last 7 years. A lot of these guys who he's been trying to get to come to Michigan. Now you have a situation where he has more insight on the young players that are coming out of college this year, next year, and the year after that than pretty much any coach in the NFL, including their scouting department. So, does he do like he did in San Francisco, where he goes out and he brings in a bunch of young guys? Last time he had to go out and get a kind of an unknown quarterback from Nevada with Colin Kaepernick. This time he doesn't have to go out and get his quarterback. He has it. So he's going to use a lot of draft picks to bring in a lot of young, hungry, cheap players. And I think you could easily see a guy like Khalil Mack be kind of moved on, traded away, or I don't know, I don't think about release, but maybe traded away to open up cap space and bring in a lot of young players. So I wanted to bring that part in. And also, when you're thinking about Harbaugh and his NFL success, when he came to the 49ers, he brought in a lot of young, hungry guys, and he won at a 70% clip. He has a 70% winning percentage when he was coaching at the 49ers. If he brings that to the Chargers, man, that's going to change the Los Angeles market. I know I've been a little long-winded today, Faith, but I had to add some of this stuff in here.
No, yeah, it's very big topic today, obviously. I'm very excited to see what Harbaugh is going to do with the Chargers. I think he is going to build a really, really nice team, and the Chargers, I feel like, will gain in popularity in the next few years. So.
Yeah, and Harbaugh has always a year, 2 years, he turns situations around. When he went to Stanford, Stanford was a dumpster fire, and Stanford wasn't even really considered maybe one of the worst teams in the nation. And then upset after upset, contending for Pac-12 championships. Same with San Francisco. Within a year, he had San Francisco contending for playoff pictures. So that's a big change there.
Alrighty. Well, we're going to use the remainder of our minutes for this segment to dive into Doc Rivers. NBA veteran Doc Rivers has accepted an offer from the Milwaukee Bucks to be the team's next coach. If you haven't been watching the show, on Tuesday we discussed that Adrian Griffin was fired as the head coach for the Bucks, and now yesterday Doc Rivers will be taking over that position. So,
all right. Now, as I've been diving into this a lot more, I was absolutely shocked when they got rid of Griffin. But as I listened to a lot more of the NBA insiders, and and I'm not one to stake everything on ESPN. So I wanted to hear what ESPN had to say, what Fox Sports had to say, what, some of the other publications, what other podcasts. And it was insider after insider after insider was not surprised that Griffin was let go. It sounded like that a lot of times you say, has a coach lost the locker room? It seems like Griffin never had the locker room, that a lot of the players were not happy with Griffin, not happy with his style of coaching, the culture. There was a lot going on there behind the scene, and it was more than just wins or losses, because if you look at it and you say second best record in the NBA, 3 games from having the best record in the NBA, and a team is getting rid of him, there's more to it. And I said that to you yesterday, Faith.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's starting to come out. There is a lot more to it. And if you look at it and you make a decision early before the All-Star break, and you're going to make a decision, you're going to bring in a coach. I also said you have to have an established, well-respected name. And Doc Rivers was that only option. If you were, I don't know if I would have made this decision. If you'd have made the decision to bring in a new coach before the season, I might would have went with a different direction. But now that you're gonna fire a coach within the first 30, 40 games of a year, and you need an established coach, I'm running to Doc Rivers. This situation though, the story's gonna be written not today, not tomorrow, not even in that first round of the playoffs. This story is gonna be written after the season is over. Where did the Milwaukee Bucks end up at? If they go in there and they get bumped in the first round, or they get upset, then everyone is going to say this was a bad decision, and the organization is going to get destroyed. But if Doc Rivers comes in and he takes them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and let's say they're up against the Celtics, and it's a dogfight, and they lose, it cannot be a collapse. One thing that it cannot be is Doc Rivers has had numerous collapses where they're up 3 games to 1, 3 games to none, and then they lose. Death sentence for the Bucks. But if it's a tough matchup, even if they lose and they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and they lose, they're going to say it was still a good decision. If they make it to the finals and they have a tough, hard-fought game against whomever comes out of the West and they lose, it's still a smart decision. If they win it all, the coach, Doc Rivers, and the ownership group looks like a genius. But this story is all as a to be continued. Is it a good decision? Bad decision? It truly does. It's going to be hindsight. How things turn out at the end of the year. Because they could go on a run all year and have the best record in the NBA and get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, and it's worthless. What do you think?
Well, Rivers used to coach for the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's right.
But they parted ways last May following their 3 Eastern Conference semifinals losses. So
yes,
how is he going to do with the Bucks with that this year?
Well, they parted ways, and this is kind of, I don't look at it as more that Doc Rivers did not do a good job as the coach of the 76ers. I felt like it was a decision more to do with James Harden, in my opinion. I'm not an insider, so I don't have any inside information, just from things that I've read, things that I've seen. It did not seem like James Harden and Doc Rivers really were ever on the same page. And it came down to, hey, we really want to keep James Harden and pair him up with Joel Embiid. And so the decision, I think, was made to try to go all in to sign and keep James Harden and part ways with Doc Rivers. It still backfired because what happened. James Harden comes out and says he's not going to play for the 76ers or Morey, and now he's with the Los Angeles Clippers. And matter of fact, the Clippers are doing amazing. So it was a good decision for James Harden. And I think the 76ers are doing well without Harden. but I don't think he should have been pushed out because of it. And so I don't really look at it as departure from the 76ers as a black eye.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait till the end of the season to see if it was a good decision or not to bring in Doc Rivers.
Way too early. But it does make the NBA season interesting. What happens with, because these three teams are all connected. How does the 76ers do without Doc Rivers and James Harden? How does what happens to the Milwaukee Bucks now that they have Doc Rivers? Are the Clippers the team to beat in the West now that James Harden left the 76ers and have gone to the Clippers? It's kind of like this little triangle that's going to be really interesting to see what happens this season.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be discussing the Detroit Lions and then San Francisco 49ers.
Looking forward to it.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Previously, we were discussing Doc Rivers and him joining the Milwaukee Bucks, and now we're going to get into the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm looking forward to hearing this and hearing some of this, what you have to say on this one. This is Faith's dark horse team of the year right here, yes, guys. Yeah. So I want to hear Faith's side of this one real quick. Yeah.
If you haven't been watching the show, I am rooting for the Detroit Lions this year. Everybody loves a good underdog, and I think it's really cool that they have made it as far as they have, and they've never won a Super Bowl. So I think it would be...
They've never been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they've never been to a Super Bowl. They've never won a Super Bowl. And I would be really excited if they made it to the Super Bowl. So
I was just going to say this part to show you how big of an underdog. I was looking at a survey that was done, and there's a bunch of surveys out there. And they did a survey, and I think it was 48 of the 50 states were rooting for the Detroit Lions to win this game. So I think most people are saying they want the Lions to win. They're kind of like me. I would love to see the Lions win, but my head is telling me the 49ers are going to crush them.
Well, Lions... Lions defensive end Aiden Hutchinson says he and his teammates expect to beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Hutchinson said, "I think we all believe it. We all believe. We're all going to come into the game with the expectation of winning it, going to the Super Bowl. That's what we believe. We expect nothing less. That's our attitude going in there." And head coach Dan Campbell has instilled confidence in the team and that they all think they're going to the Super Bowl. So the Detroit Lions are very, very confident in themselves that they are going to beat the 49ers and go to the Super Bowl. Is that really going to happen, or are they biting themselves in the butt right now saying all of that?
Well, okay. First off, you start talking about bulletin board material. Bulletin board material is, in my opinion, absolutely overrated, where it's like, be careful what you say. The other team's going to see it, and it's going to motivate them to play even harder. I don't believe in that bulletin board material. I don't think it works. But what you're saying, a lot of it makes sense. When you're talking about a team like the Detroit Lions, you got to have a coach that's kind of instilling that, hey, not only do they have a chance, nobody believes in us. And that's something that can really motivate a team. I felt like we're last segment talking about Michigan. Harbaugh did something that was absolutely ingenious this year. He made this season us against the world. No one thinks that we belong here. Everyone is out to get us. And it kept everyone focused and homed in on beating Penn State, beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship and winning the national championship. And it worked. That's different than bulletin board material. You have a quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl in Jared Goff. So this NFC championship game, this is not something that is new to him. He's done this before, been there, done that, have the t-shirt. Maybe it's in Los Angeles, but he has the t-shirt from when he was with the Rams. But then you're looking at it, and if you have a veteran quarterback, you have a coach that believes in it, the players start believing in it. And this is crucial. I kind of look at it the way Green Bay, when they played the Cowboys, they were believing. And if Detroit goes in there and do exactly what Green Bay did to the Cowboys, and that is jump out, punch them in the nose, and really get off to an early start. If Detroit Lions can get off to a quick start and really take it to the 49ers and get the 49ers off their game, then Detroit can win. But if this game starts out and the 49ers jump out to an early lead, I think they'll destroy them. I don't think it'll be close. If the game is close, but the 49ers are able to do what they do, there's just too many weapons that the 49ers have, whether it's in the passing game, whether it's in the running game, the zone running game that they do, the defense and how they can pin their ears back and actually go after you. If they fall behind, there's too many weapons on offense, there's too many weapons on defense, Detroit will get overwhelmed. But if Detroit can jump out to an early lead and put the 49ers on their heel, get out to a nice lead where going into that third quarter, going into that fourth quarter, they're up and the 49ers become one-dimensional, where offensively everything is on Brock Purdy, where the defense can kind of pin their ears back and really put a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy. This is when Brock Purdy becomes a liability. If Brock Purdy becomes one-dimensional and it's pass Purdy, pass, and there's a lot of pressure on him, they have a real shot. But if it's like, okay, it's the zone running game, there's the short passes, they're playing with a lead, that's when it could be ugly. Their only shot, the 49ers, in my opinion, the Detroit Lions have one shot, and that is to get out to an early lead and make the 49ers one-dimensional. What do you say on that one?
The only thing that I'm really worried about with the Lions is their defense. Their defense has not been their strong suit this season. They've allowed 340 passing yards in the past 5 games. So
I know.
But in the past 6 games, the Lions averaged over 3 sacks a game and 1.5 interceptions per game. So I just think the Detroit Lions need to get their defense together a little bit better, and then I think that they could have a real shot. But like you said, the 49ers, they do everything well. So
everything well.
They do everything well. And so like you said, the Lions really only have like that one shot to try and get.
I was going to say what you just said before about when you were talking about the defense and this, how many sacks per, like how many sacks have they had and interceptions? What did you say that was those numbers again?
Past 6 games, Lions averaged over 3 sacks a game and 1.5 interceptions per game.
That is where it's tailor-made. That's what can change this game. If you're getting on Brock Purdy, you're getting, if you stay with your average 3 sacks a game and a bunch of pressure, then if you're able to sack Purdy and put pressure on him, Purdy will turn that ball over. And now you're talking about a situation where that one interception, the 1 point something interception, maybe that turns into 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions turned into a pick 6. That's a different ball game. That's a different Lions team. And when you're going there and you start getting those sacks, you get those interceptions, you get out to a lead, a lot of times players will tell themselves, hey, we can win this before the game. But really, back of their head, they're like, man, this is going to be hard for us to win. But when you start seeing it, and, I've said this, that I think we can win. I think we have a chance. But now you start seeing it, and now it's like, I don't think I can win. We can do this. Momentum. And that's when things change. That's what happened to the Cowboys in my opinion, with the Green Bay. And once the momentum happened, they started believing, and it became a beatdown for the Cowboys. Can this same formula work for the Detroit Lions? I think so. I think it could work. I think that would be the story of the NFL season if the Detroit Lions made it. I've never seen the Detroit Lions make it to a Super Bowl in my life. I've only seen them, I think, once, maybe twice, make it this far, which is an NFC Championship game. It'll be kind of interesting. Here's a little additional side note. I would love to see it. Imagine a Detroit Lions Super Bowl. It's Detroit, I've mentioned this before. Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The halftime show is Taylor Swift and Eminem. I think that would be that's just television gold.
Unfortunately, we've got Usher this year, but I'm very excited for Usher. So
I was just gonna say, I thought you didn't like Usher. Usher.
I love Usher.
But hey, if it's a Kansas City, Detroit Super Bowl, Usher's gonna have to give a little time to Taylor Swift and Eminem. I'm sorry, that has to happen.
Well, Detroit, like you said, has almost the entire United States behind pulling for them, including me. I really, really hope they get it. I would be so excited if they did.
Honestly, I would too. I mean, like I said, my head tells me everything that I know in football tells me, 49ers are at home. They're the better team. When you start checking coach, offense, defense, it all goes that way. But if you can get a Jared Goff, a Amon St. Brown to start getting to get hot, boy, that would make an interesting game.
Well, are they playing Saturday or Sunday?
Oh, I think both games are on Sunday.
Sunday?
Okay. Don't quote me on that one. I am not sure, but I'm almost positive.
Well, guys, make sure that you watch those games this weekend, because that's going to determine who will be playing in the Super Bowl this year. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into our oddities of the day.
Right.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Previously, we were discussing the Lions and how they believe that they are going to beat the 49ers. Now we're going to be diving into the oddities of the day. And we've got some fun ones again. I found some good ones for today.
You never disappoint me on this one, Faye.
I haven't yet. We'll see. Alrighty. So our first story today is a Amish family's horse and buggy parked outside Walmart was stolen while they were shopping.
You can't go joyriding on someone's horse and buggy. That's illegal. That's wrong. Go ahead. Let me hear more about this. You got my attention now.
Michigan Amish family's horse and buggy was stolen from outside a Walmart while they shopped over the weekend. The victims had gone shopping at Walmart and came out to find their horse and buggy gone. Authorities found the horse and buggy later that evening and arrested the 31-year-old suspect, who has not been named publicly, at a motel nearby. Whoa. I want to know what is going on in that person's head where they were like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna steal a horse and buggy and ride out.
Okay. This story did not go the way I was expecting. Okay, first off, I was thinking first off, is there a parking brake or something like that for can they like put an alarm like whoop, whoop?
on a horse and buggy? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Is there like a low jack on it so no one can steal Does it have OnStar so you can track it? The answer is we all know the Amish are not doing OnStar on their horse and buggy.
No, they don't believe in electricity, so they wouldn't.
Right. Okay, that is a true statement and not true at all either.
Well, I'm gonna put electricity.
They don't use. No, you're right on all of that. Okay, I grew up in Ohio, so I'm gonna do a story within a story. Mm-hmm. And I worked at this cable company. I was 17, 18 years. No, I was probably more like 19. And it was the company. Remember, this is maybe before your time. They used to have those giant satellites in the back of people's houses. Mm-hmm. The giant, not the Dish Network ones, the big giant one.
Yeah.
So I worked for a company that sold those, and never ever. I was a horrible sales rep at that company. I couldn't sell anything, but I sold one. I sold one dish in like 8 months, and it was to an Amish guy. He had set his barn up. So he set up a satellite dish in his barn where he had a pulley system that would open it up so he could actually watch the games because he was a Browns fan. And so he had a television set up, but he didn't want anybody to know that he could watch the games. And so he was my only customer I ever sold at that place. So they're not supposed to be Mr. Technology, and I'm not attacking anyone, but this Amish dude was catching the games on the sneak tip. I just want that to be known. Okay. So that's my story within a story. Now, what threw me on this story, Faith, is you told me someone had stolen an Amish guy's horse and buggy. Mm-hmm. I was thinking it was a bunch of young kids, a bunch of high school kids going to go on a joyride and run around, and it's a funny story.
No, it's a grown adult. The grown adult stole it.
And wait, he stole it like, okay, I have to walk to the hotel. So I'm going to steal this horse and buggy, and I'm going to take it to the hotel. This isn't like a Toyota Camry where there's like 35 of them out there. You don't need CSI Miami to figure out like, hey, That's that stolen horse and buggy that's sitting
Yeah.
outside the Motel 6.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy wasn't even thinking, if you're going to park it outside of your hotel, then you're one of America's dumbest criminals. Am I right? It's not like,
Yeah.
no, this is my horse and buggy.
Also,
What do you
like,
say to that?
I just feel like wild stuff happens at Walmart. Like, I feel like it's always a Walmart. It is always a Walmart. Like, what goes down in Walmart that, like, brings all these people in, like, stealing stuff and doing things they're not supposed to be doing? Like, what is it about Walmart that makes people think?
Yes. They're always, if you watch people and you see some of the videos and people are stealing, they don't even cover their face. They just walk out and try to walk out with a cart. If there's going to be a fight, it's going to be at Walmart. Don't these people ever go to Target? Like, what is it?
Target is for a different shopper demographic, because I love Target.
But
Walmart.
why?
Target
Why?
is nicer than Walmart. I hate Walmart. I don't shop at Walmart.
Okay, I agree with you on all this. But you can have a Walmart on this corner and across the street, Target. The trailer park, the meth head, the questionable individuals, they're gonna cross the street they're gonna be on the side of Target. They're gonna cross the street and go into Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Can you explain? I do not understand why.
Have you been in a Walmart lately?
No, I
Okay,
haven't. I
like-
mean,
Walmart only like has self-checkout open now, and they
okay.
have like employees checking your receipt after you leave. So really all their employees do is just kind of like stand around. They don't like scan items or anything anymore. So
Wait a minute, though. I'm
like,
going to use your words, what you just said here. Walmart only has self-checkout.
I
What
think
the hell's wrong with you on that one? No, I'm not letting no one check their own stuff out at Walmart at all.
yeah.
You
I think
agree?
they'll probably have like 1 or 2 lanes open, but that's it in the entire store of Walmart, and then the rest is self-checkout. So
I just don't understand it.
I like
I just-
self-checkout. I like self-checkout. I don't like talking to people when I'm in public a lot of the time. So, and you have no social interaction at self-checkout. Like, I hate when I go to self-checkout and like I'm purchasing a bottle of wine or something because I have to show them my ID and I actually have to talk to somebody. That's the worst part of self-checkout.
Okay, self-checkout here in Portugal is very different. You go through and it's just like your regular go in there and you scan your stuff and then you get your stuff and then there's a gate and you're blocked. You can't leave. Then the person has to come up to you, that you have to give them your receipt. They have to look in your bag and then they push a little button and then the doors open and then you can leave your shopping lane. If not, you can't leave your shopping lane.
That's-
Walmart needs to put those in plus a cage behind it.
You think Walmart has the budget to do that?
I don't know. They're the second biggest shopping entity in the world. They're making all kind of money. Something has to be done because they're stealing and also people, the way they dress in Walmart. You can go into Target, people didn't put their makeup on, they got their hair done.
I would never
go
walk
in-
into Target with sweatpants on. Never. Ever, ever.
What? How does that happen? They're the same store. One's red, one's blue. It's like Crips and Bloods. The Crips and Bloods of the shopping world, but the red one is clean and prepped up, and then it's like Meth City.
Walmart is just absolutely insane. Nothing is in the right place at Walmart. It always smells in Walmart.
They do?
for me, Walmarts always have a certain smell that I don't really like. And then the people there are just rude. They get in your way. They don't care about you. Target is a wonderful little land where you can go and buy a coffee in the shop, and then you just leisurely stroll around with your little
Did you get coffee
shopping
at Walmart?
cart. Not at my Walmart.
Do they have like McDonald's at Walmart, right?
My Walmart had a Subway.
Oh, I mean, you might as well Subway. You might as well have a Waffle House in. But think about that. They should just take all the Subways out, just put a Waffle House in there.
Honestly,
because that's the same audience. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Honestly,
What?
that would be I would dig Walmart more if they had a Waffle House in there.
No, you wouldn't, because you die. It's so much stuff goes on, and I know this. Someone's from
love
Walmart's
Waffle
gonna
House.
cripple us.
I love Waffle House. It's so nice. They're open 24 hours when you've gone out with your friends and you're a little buzzed and you're hungry. Waffle House just has the best, greasiest food ever. It's delicious. And you can
It's the one
always
place.
you can always bet on Waffle House being open. If Waffle House is closed, you better run, call your family, and tell them that the world is ending, because Waffle House never closes.
Listen, you could put Walmart, put a Waffle House, and then like a UFC arena in there, because there's gonna be at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's gonna be some fights. There's gonna be some good food. There's gonna be people stealing. Someone's gonna steal a horse and buggy. It's on. Just put it all in one parking lot.
Just like a shopping center strip.
Yeah.
You got
Just
Walmart,
put
Waffle
French
House,
fries.
and
And a UFC arena. Because the best
don't-
fights are gonna happen at a Waffle House. The best
That
fights are
is so
gonna happen
true.
at Walmart or Waffle House. That's
That
where
is
the
so
fights are
true.
gonna happen.
That's so true.
Okay.
Alrighty. Next
Did we
one.
spend too much time on? Okay, good. I'm like, I know we're gonna go over because we went too long with
Yeah.
Waffle House and Walmart. I don't care. Let's keep on rolling.
We'll keep this one a little short. Okay. Utah teen is facing charges after allegedly taping fish to ATM machines. Is he guilty as charged?
Oh, I'm all ears here. Let me hear what's going on here.
A teenage boy in Provo, Utah is facing charges after allegedly taping fish to various ATMs in the city and even a police car. Of course, the fishy behavior was all documented on social media. Authorities at the Provo Police Department alleged that the unnamed 17-year-old was responsible for about a dozen fish taping incidents between August and October. Authorities suspected the fish taping was done in innocent fun, but charged the teen with 2 misdemeanor counts of causing property damage back in December, mainly because cleaning up the fish carcasses off cars and ATMs started to cost money.
So these were actual live fish,
Yeah.
not a sticker of a fish.
No, real fish. Oh, yeah, hold on. I put a picture so the audience.
Okay, so the audience can see this. Okay, so it's like I'm picturing I'm going over to the ATM machine trying to get out $100, and there's a big old catfish just taped to the screen.
It's literally a live fish and then a strip of duct tape on top of it.
Okay, how old was this? Does it tell you how old this guy was that did this? And
He's 17.
okay, did you notice that I said this guy? I didn't even assume like this is. I didn't say like how old this person was. I just naturally assumed it was a guy that did this.
Yeah, a teenage boy. He was 17 in Utah.
So, is that not the most kind of Utah, Montana, West Virginia
Honestly,
thing ever?
what goes on up in those states? Crazy stuff
Okay.
happens over there.
And I've been to Utah. It's a wonderful place. It's a beautiful place, great people. But this is the way I'm figuring. the Utah Jazz, there was no games going, the football season, the college football season over, and there's nothing else to do. So you're like, I'm just
Let's
gonna go
just
tape some
tape
fish
fish.
to the ATM machine.
What makes this story, what made it so funny to read is just like how unserious it was written. Officials
Of course.
officials told the station that they did not know where the team got the fish. And then the fish taping photos were uploaded to an Instagram account titled fish_bandit84, which has the tagline, "Live, laugh, tape fish on ATMs," and promises no fish were harmed in the process.
But there's a dead fish tape to the
They're already
ATM
dead.
machine.
They were already dead, I'm sure.
Okay, they were already previously dead fish.
Yes.
Okay, first question. You're right. This isn't like springtime in Utah where they're fishing and things. This is January. January, what? Sometime in the last couple of weeks. So Utah, it is freezing. So he had to go to like a fish market or somewhere. Is he ice fishing and going out and getting fish and then taping them?
Well, he got caught in December, but he was doing the taping incidents between August and October. So he was doing it during the hot months.
Okay, now I feel a little better. So he's out there, he's on the fishing bank. He picks the best ones to take home for the fish fry later on for the family. And instead of throwing the little ones back, he's up there, he's taping them on. Maybe he had good intentions. Maybe he was like,
What are good
maybe,
intentions?
people money is kind of tight, inflation. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to eat this fish. I'll take this fish to the ATM machine. Maybe someone will fry it up or cook it up as part of their meal. Maybe he had good intention. He was thinking outside the box.
I don't think a 17-year-old was thinking that. No.
No. And why do people, they do a crime and then they tell on themselves?
I mean, because honestly, I wouldn't think that would get me in trouble, because I understand that it's property damage, but it's not really property damage because you can just take the piece of tape off and the fish off and it doesn't really destroy the property. So is it really property damage?
Well, you could, if you wanted to go in it that way, you could trump up some charges on them. I mean, because you got a dead fish, fishing without a license, property damage. You could trump up some charges if you had, but it's obvious this is some kid that's doing something stupid. You don't really want to throw the book at him.
He probably had nothing better to do in Utah. He probably was bored.
I'm gonna impress my girl. I'm gonna tape a fish to an ATM machine. Is that what you're saying?
He was probably just bored. He didn't know what to do, so he just
I could picture it being.
Fish.
I think there's more people. I think he was just kind of hanging out with his buddies, and they probably dared him to do it, and then he became the fish guy that started doing it and just taping it around everything.
I don't understand how he got there. Is my thing.
The process of getting to the point to be the fish guy.
How do you get to the point to be like, yeah, I'm gonna tape fish to an ATM? That's gonna be so hilarious. It's gonna be so funny.
That's such a teenage boy thing.
It is
I'm gonna do this. Boy. And they're thinking like, no one thinks this is not what's gonna make you look. This is not what's gonna make you cool. This is not what you're gonna be known for in your yearbook, is the fish guy.
Yeah.
All right. Does that conclude our stories, or is there any other ones? Or
yeah, that concludes our stories for the day. Guys in Utah, just make sure, don't tape fish to an ATM because you can get charged with property damages. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. And if you are thinking about taping a fish to an ATM machine, just know there are online dating sites. Maybe get a girlfriend. That's all I'm saying.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that's going to be the end of our show. Thank you for tuning into the Tatecast presented by GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference for the show. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter or X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.